What is the number one thing that managers complain about? Their staff lack of accountability, which basically means that they feel their staff are not doing what they're supposed to do without nagging or intervention. So what's going on? Why can't people just do what they're supposed to do? In this video, I go through why you're frustrated with your staff, what is the root cause of your staff behavior, and the one thing you need to do to get all this frustration going away. My name is Greg Angelbert. I've had about a 20-year corporate career where I went from being a trainee to eventually a managing director, vice president, and from just managing myself to eventually managing about 1,000 people. Today I'm a mentor, I'm a coach, and I help individuals, teams, and organizations to realize themselves fully. Let's talk about you, people manager person. Why do you feel this frustration with your staff? Because they don't listen to what you say, they don't follow directions? Because they think and behave strangely, so you don't get along? Because they don't show enthusiasm and initiative in what they do? Because they're not performing, they're not reliable, because they don't want to change or learn, they're stuck in their ways. You're right to feel frustrated, don't you? Now, why do you think they have those frustrating behaviors? You might think that they just don't have good work ethics, they're just lazy. You might think that they're just not good enough for their job. You might think that they just have weird personalities. I mean, how did their parents raise them? Or you just don't know why. Okay, so that's what you think. Now, what happens if we ask exactly the same question to the employees themselves? Usually what they say is that they have a lack of skill, knowledge, or they just don't know how to do the task that they've been asked to do. Or they don't know what is expected of them. Or they don't understand you. Or they don't feel recognized for what they do. Or they just don't like the work. Or they think differently about a situation than you do. They have a different opinion. Or they have too much to do. Or they're sick. Or they have personal problems at home. I think you might have spotted the difference here. You have made a lot of assumptions and you have effectively built a very nice wall between you and your employees. When you thought about why they do what they do, you started to build a lot of stories in your own head. We all do this. It's our way to fill in the gaps when we don't have enough information about why people do what they do. And most of the time we don't build positive stories, we build negative stories. And that leads us to have foregone conclusions about the people and also to enter conversation with a negative intent in mind. And you might also be victim of your own biases. Yes, we all try to be understanding and controlling our biases, but sometimes, they're in your subconscious and they would creep up on you. And as a manager of people, you might think that actually you're in a position of power. You should know better than your staff what is good for them. A bit like a parent with a young child. So how do you know you're making assumptions? Simple trick. Every time that you're asking yourself a question about why somebody is doing what they're doing, one of your staff, then ask yourself this very simple question. How do I know that? If you start your answer with anything like, I think that, then you don't know. That's just what you think. If you can recall a moment where the person told you what they think, then you know. And if you say, I don't know why somebody is doing what they're doing, that's great. Not knowing is a first step towards curiosity. You like this video so far? Then you know what to do, and also subscribe to the channel, put the notifications on if you want to receive content like this every week. For summary of the key points and any of the tools that I'm using in these videos, and sign up to my Patreon below. Also check out the other YouTube videos from other YouTubers in the description about the same topic. People are different. They have different experiences in life, and that makes their views and decisions different from yours. Yeah, that can be frustrating, but life would be pretty boring if we would all be the same. It's tempting to want people to be exactly like us. It's simpler. The problem with that is that then you will lack perspectives, and that will not help you to come up with the best ideas, the best decisions, the best visions, the best products. Why do people have different perspectives? People can come from different backgrounds. They have unique life experiences that shape their perspectives. Someone who has experienced poverty or discrimination will have a very different take on social relationships than somebody who doesn't. People's cultural background and values also impact their perspectives. Different cultures have different norms and beliefs, which impacts how we see the world around us. People's personality and temperament can also impact their perspectives. Some people might be more optimistic, pessimistic, extrovert, introvert, etc. People's education level or knowledge about a specific topic might impact the way they view this topic. And people's emotional state or current mood can impact the way they see something at a specific moment. If you feel anxious, stressed, or sick, you might not be able to see it the same way as somebody who is completely relaxed and healthy. People's goals and priorities can also impact their perspectives. Someone who is very focused on career advancement will have a different take on life than somebody who is 100% focused on their family. One way to understand why people do what they do is to find a common language about describing the way we all are. That's where the field of psychometric comes in. There are many tests that look at the way we are and why we are the way we are. There are many. The most famous is Myers-Briggs with 16 personality types. There's also the Enneagram with 9 different types. Then you have DISC, and you also have the Hogan profiling, and many more. They shouldn't be seen as the ultimate truths. What they do is to start to give you a language, perspective, angles of vision about how you are and how other people are. And they go a long way to build bridges between people through understanding of how we are. There is only one way to know what's really going on in your employer's mind or anyone. You must stop talking and start asking. And of course, listening to what you hear. There are different levels of listening. Level 1 is ignoring. That's clear. You're talking, but the other person is willingly not putting any effort to put any attention on what you're saying. Level 2 is called pretend listening. Pretend listener gives you the impression that they're hearing what you're saying. They might hear actually a few words of what you're saying, but their mind is really not there. They're probably doing something else at the same time or doing something else in their own head. Level 3 is selective listening. The person who is doing selective listening just wants part of what you're saying. They might be telling you something, so what's the point? And they might be quick to be interrupting you while you're speaking because all along they've been thinking about what they want to say. At level 4 we enter real listening with attentive listening. That's where the listener is offering time and attention. You will see the right body language about acknowledging what you're saying, but people might still be in a frame of mind where they're actually understanding what you say through their frame of reference. And now we get to the holy grail, which is level 5, empathic listening. When you reach that level of skills in listening, you are very intentional in the way you listen. You're not only listening to the words, you're listening to the context, you're listening to the person, where they come from. You're actually putting yourself in their shoes, you're listening to their feeling, you're feeling what they're feeling. And you might not ever be at level 5 all the time. It actually takes a lot of effort to be at level 5. Level 4 is a more comfortable situation that we will have most of the time. The second thing after reaching high levels in listening is to start to be curious about some specific things. And you can be curious about people's personalities, their background story, what makes them tick, what is their motivation source, and what bothers them. Let's get practical here. So you're frustrated at work with the staff. Okay, then let's do this. Prepare your mind about being actively listening to this person. You have the different levels of listening in mind. You will be curious about the person, you will stop any of the bad stories that you've been telling yourself about them. Second, you're going to listen to the person without interrupting. And you will force yourself not to think about what you want to say next. The third point is that you are going to use open-ended questions. They're designed to bring more detailed answers, deeper answers from the person you're talking to. These type of questions start usually with what, how, or why. What you want to avoid here is questions that would end up with an answer like yes or no, because that closes the conversation. And avoid leading questions that are actually corresponding to your agenda or what you would like the person to say. You're here to be curious about what the person thinks and feels. Follow up with additional questions to go deeper into the understanding of what they're saying. You can ask for more detail, or you can ask for different perspectives, or you can explore related topics. Finally, you summarize and confirm what you've heard from the person to make sure that you put in your words what you've heard and you get confirmation from the other side that you have understood them correctly. So that's a lot to learn and work on, and it's really well worth the effort. Having said that, remember the saying, you can bring the horse to the river, but the horse has to drink. Your responsibility stops at the level where you've tried your very best to be asking, understanding, listening to the person. Your responsibility is to help them as much as you can. They need to do the rest. One quote that might inspire you to jump into becoming a great listener, it is from Stephen Covey, who is a writer of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Whether you're a manager, a staff, or working for yourself, you might be interested in this video about what motivates us all. Check it out.